Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. It's about 8:30 in the morning here on Tuesday, January 10th, 2023. I'm here to do a little update here on Bitcoin today. That's what I'm going to be focusing my time and effort on right now. I think my S&P 500 analysis is pretty clear at the moment. I'm looking at a couple different scenarios, but I've got my primary that I'm kind of sticking to right now. Before I get into all of this, as you all know, this is not financial advice, not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, doing your own research, and I'm just giving my opinion on the market. If you need access to our Discord, you can find all that information on BitDoctor.org, including access to the educational content, our trades, options trading, and of course, access to our Wavemaster indicator on TradingView, as well as some other some other perks that go along with that. All right, so let's go ahead and get on into the chart. Looking here at Bitcoin, I've got our liquidity range that we had been kind of trading sideways in, for quite some time. But what I want to do is I want to kind of zoom out and take a look at the structure, look at things on kind of a higher time frame, because I think that's what we need to focus on right now to make a determination of where the next big move is going to go. Because, with this consolidation that we've been seeing down here below 18,000, we've definitely got something that's brewing, and so I want to take a look at that. Excuse me. All right. So first off, taking a look at this move up here, we've discussed this in the past, so I'm not going to, kind of dive into it too much. But again, it's very corrective because what we've got here is let me just pull this out right here. So from this to this, let me just kind of pull this out over here and this out over here. We've got overlap, right? And we continue to have overlap. We had it again, right here. And obviously we fell through this. But, we had a high here, right? It came down. We made a new high, but then we overlapped. We overlapped this high with this low right here. So it's hard to look at this as an impulsive move. It looks very corrective. And then this high right here was, of course, kind of overlapped here and then finally broke down out of this channel that we were in. So now that we've broken down out of this channel, naturally we're going to be taking a look at a range expansion, right? And I talk about range expansions quite a bit, where we just basically clone this guy and we just kind of like move it over. Okay, so what we had here was basically we tried to push through, it didn't happen, but eventually just continued to move sideways. So the range expansion idea didn't really play out. Looking at key indicators, right, and paying most attention to the red wave here. All right, so, since we've been moving sideways, anytime we've seen a red wave that's kind of gone down here into oversold territory, we've basically been seeing an area where we found a little bit of a bottom, right? So the red wave down here in the bottom, curling up, and it happens to be down here at the bottom. And then, our green and our yellow indicates a temporary top because the red wave is in oversold where the green and the yellow wave were in overbought. So that's an area of exhaustion. And we were talking about liquidity pools over here, and it did extend beyond over into this area as well. But at any rate, over here we had, some significant bearish divergence. Let me just kind of zoom in on this so that we can see this pretty clear. So what we've got here, we've got a higher high. And if we take a look at the green wave, which is the most important one here, we've got a significant lower high on our green wave. So pay attention to that because that played out in a significant way. So then we had, an area where the green, the yellow wave were in oversold, and we saw a decent bounce there. But then what that was met with, when we had the bounce, we have a high here, we have a lower high here, and then of course with our green wave we have a high here and a higher high here. So that again is your hidden bearish divergence. And of course that has already played out. And again, since we're talking about divergence, we have a low here, we have a lower low here, And then, of course, we have a low here, and then we have a higher low here, mixed in with the fact that the red wave is kind of moving down into oversold territory as well. And, you know, in this range, anytime we've seen the red wave get down here into oversold, you know, we've seen a decent bounce. And that, again, is what we have seen so far here. But now, what I have to pay attention to, I have to pay attention to the fact that the green, the yellow, and the red wave are all in overbought. And this happened to be up here at about that 17,300 mark. And what's the significance of 17,300, 17,350? Well, let's take a fib pull on this. We're going to take this dominant pivot high up here, and we're going to take this dominant pivot low over here, and we're just going to kind of move it on out. All right, so we had been looking at these areas between the 50 and the 618. Right, so here at about 17,300, 17,546, we'd been watching this again for quite some time as the potential for a top. Now, are we going to see a move up to 17,550? I mean, it's very, very possible that we can see that. But with the indicators right now, what it currently looks like is, you know, we're in a pretty overbought territory. And when we take into account volume, let's see if I've got my volume over here. Let's just look at this for a moment. I'm going to zoom in here. And again, notice that we had, you know, a pretty significant move up. And there was significant volume matching that move up. But pay attention here. We had decreasing volume in both directions, both buying and selling. We had decreasing volume on that way up. And then once we got there, you know, we saw a little bit of a spike here, and this was, you know, at about the 4:30 in the morning hour, and that equates to, you know, about right here. And then we had this move up, and it was actually on increasing volume. So we had increasing volume on the move up, which is really what you'd like to see, but you need to see it get sustained, right? We need sustained volume moving up. But what ended up happening is the market just moved down, right? It had a significant move down. And since moving down, what we're actually starting to see is, again, a little bit of a bearish flag. And, you know, looking at this potential bear flag, and I say potential bear flag because, you know, really anything can happen. But if we're going to stay with my hypothesis that we are in a mode where we're overbought, right? And on these lower time frames, again, if you'll notice on the lower time frames, you know, we had a warning here that we were overbought. And again, that warning came as volume was decreasing. We had a warning here that we were overbought. And that was when volume was also very low after a spike in volume. And there really wasn't any follow through at the time. And then we had our, you know, another warning right here, which happened to be at the very top, which is one of the reasons why I really love this indicator. You know, looking at this, we had a decent top on this. I did throw a warning out on the WaveMaster Twitter account. If you didn't catch that, go take a look there on the WaveMaster indicator. I'm sorry, the WaveMaster Twitter account, and it was on the S&P 500. But these markets do move in the same direction. It's just that they move in different percentages up and down. But right now, on this move up, it is on extremely low volume, right? If we want to compare volume here, and we want to take a look at what we would consider maybe average volume, let's just go ahead and throw this on here. Average volume is going to be right around here for, you know, for decent volume, and we are on very, very low volume. And if we're taking a look at volume from the downside, we're also going to take a look at about this area right here. And just notice here for a moment, we are below average on volume right now. And we're not seeing, you know, any significant moves in Bitcoin relative to the volume. It's still very, very low. The volume is low. We need to see volume kick in, and really we need to see the price action move to the upside and not the downside. If volume kicks in and we move to the downside, this was just a distribution event. And I have to, I have to recognize that. So if we're going to reject where we just rejected, and I'm going to kind of zoom in here for just a moment, our target's going to be the 100%. And that's going to be at right around 17,000. Now, what is the significance of that 17,000 level? Well, I'm just going to go ahead and put a level on here so that you can see for yourself that that happens to be at the same place that we had a high here, and that we had a high here. So naturally, getting a back test of this makes a heck of a lot of sense, right? For us to see another move down over the next couple days, right? We could go into, later today, maybe even tomorrow as this plays out, see this move to the downside before we potentially see a move up into that 17,500 area. So let me go ahead and clear that out. That is, that's kind of like what my thought is on Bitcoin short term. But now let's go ahead and move back to the other chart and just take a look, again, going back to the hourly, taking a look at this, going back down here to this level right here would make a decent amount of sense, right? So if we were to, again, go down here to this level, make that move up to 17,005, what's going to then happen? All right, so I want to recognize one more thing, and this is going to be a little bit of a bullish view. This low and these lows that we have created here, I'm going to remove this. I'm going to mark this 618 here for, just for, let's see here, just for informational purposes. I'm going to put this right here, and I'm going to label this. And this is going to be the 61.8% retrace from 18,385 to 16,269 roughly. All right, so that level is going to be important. I'm going to take another fib pull on this, and I'm going to take this low here to this high here, right? And I want to show you that we found significant support here at this 618. And we've seen a decent move off of it. So we're basically in an area where two 618s are fighting against each other. Okay? Now, of course, we had our liquidity hunting right here at the 50. And we have our support here at the 618. Now, we tried to dig deep, but that got bought up. We tried to dig deep, and that got bought up. So this area is being defended by algos right here at this 618. There's going to be another algo that's going to be set up here to start selling once we get up to the 17,500 area. And that's mostly fueled by the fact that we had such a steep decline right here. And so what really is going to matter the most going into, say, February, as we go to even higher time frames here, looking at this, the price action that we're dealing with right now is insignificant, right? Look at this price action down here compared to the entire structure from November of 2021. It is basically insignificant, which means we're going to get a big move out of here, and we just need to make a determination whether it's going to be up or down. And I think what we can all agree with is this level right here, which is a 618, but also, if you take a look to the left, and again, I try and prepare these not ahead of time, it happens to be right here, and I just noticed this, it happens to be right here at the area where we found a significant low, right? So this was significant support back in June of 2022, before we had the July and August run, right? So taking a look from a support and resistance standpoint, we have significant resistance right here. Just like when we had this move up here, and this would have been on December 14th, right? When we had that significant move up to roughly 18,400, we were met by significant resistance, which was created by this low and 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 this low. You get the idea. All of these lows, which were support, and it even extends all the way back here, that created resistance. And we are below these resistance zones. So if you're thinking about putting any risk on positions, especially long positions, really you need to wait. You need to wait until we break up above these important zones. And most importantly, what we really need to do is we need to get back in here. And this is going to be between 18,600 and $20,000. If we can get back in that range, things are going to look much better. Basically, if we get back up here, what we will have done is in essence, we would have erased the losses that were created by the FTX debacle. Okay, So if we can do that, and if we can get back up in there, I will then consider looking at dip buying opportunities. Now, I'm not going to breakout trade this, right? And I do like to play options as breakout trades. But in this particular case, I will be looking for, I will be looking for price action to do something, a little bit like this, where we get up in here, maybe we consolidate a little bit here, and then we move up into this level, which happens to be, these lows right here, which is where I created the upper bound of this box, and then see a nice pullback, reclaim this as support, and then that's where I will be looking to buy and to be getting into maybe a long position going into maybe February, March. But a lot has to happen between now and then. I mean, honestly, really a lot has to happen before I consider doing something like that. The price, really has to move up roughly 16%, and then it's got to move down roughly 7% before I consider a leveraged long position. Now, I've been sitting in spot, and I'm willing to buy more spot down here, and I do believe that it is going to go lower. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not looking into getting leveraged long positions right now. Because fact of the matter is, I'm going to go ahead and remove this guy. This channel right here is a bigger version of what we're dealing with right here. So, actually I haven't put a channel on here, so this might not match up as well as I think that it might. But we do have a bit of a channel right here, and actually this actually does work out pretty well, surprisingly. Looking at this channel, I'm just going to go ahead and point out a couple more things, then we'll go ahead and wrap things up. We've got median, 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 median. We've got some, kind of clustering here, but another median rejection, median rejection. We have this range expansion from the lower half to the upper half, and then we've got support that we just received, yesterday at the end of the day. So that was about 6 p.m. Eastern yesterday. Right now, again, it does look like we do want to move down. This hourly wave has gotten kind of back up almost into overbought territory. And again, it's on low volume. So, if we do roll over, this could work out pretty well. Let me look here for just a moment. I'm going to zoom in on this here real quick and just kind of look at this for just a second. So first things first, we have a higher high right here, and it was met with, a lower high, a little bit of a lower high on the indicator. But the higher this guy goes, right, you can all agree with me that we've got a lower high here, and the indicator has almost completely reset. So if this does happen to go even just a little bit higher, well, there's a little bit of hidden bearish divergence, which would support the hypothesis that we could be seeing that one more leg down here to this area, which again is about $17,000 before we see a move up. Now, what I would not want to see, right, if I'm a bull, what I don't want to see, let me just go ahead and remove this here for a moment. I'm going to mark this level right here because I think this level is, it's honestly pretty important. This level right here at 17,000, that is pretty important. If this price gets below here and goes down to this lower bound and then can't reclaim that, and you start to see something like this, chances are pretty good it's going to break down even more. The next level is going to be down here to about 16,762 roughly. And that's created by our liquidity pool that again, we've been talking about for the better part of maybe a month and a half now. So that's kind of where I think Bitcoin is going. It's more than likely going to go up and retest this 17,500 level. I do think we're going to get one more push down maybe today or tomorrow going into that. How that resolves is going to be a determination. But watch the 2618s. And again, I removed it, but the level is roughly about right here. We have this 618 down here. So this is going to be the 61.8% retrace from, and let's go ahead and get our prices here. That's going to be from this low at 15, we'll call it 15,460 to 18,400. just to keep things clear, we're inside of this range. And this level right here, it just happens to be right smack dab in the middle of both of those 618s. And that can't be a coincidence. So this range, in my opinion, no trade zone, right? At least not for leverage. If you're playing with leverage, chances are pretty good you're gonna get smashed. Unless you take a lower risk leverage position shorting at the top and a low risk leverage position longing at the bottom, right in the middle of the range doesn't make a whole lot of sense to add on a whole lot of risk. So just be cautious of that. And then again, be cautious of the channel that we are that we're potentially in right now. I say potentially because really to have a valid channel, you need 2 touches on both sides. And right now I've got 2 touches on the bottom and then a touch here on top that happens to, kind of, fall in line with this median here, which I was talking about earlier. I think it works out pretty well, at least at the moment. But watching to see what happens next. And again, I'm not going to be really interested in taking long positions until we get up here into this green zone. And of course, if we get back down here into the sub 16,000 levels, I'm going to be waiting patiently, looking for more opportunities to buy spot. And that's going to be my long-term approach on there. All right, guys. Well, that's what I've got on Bitcoin. If this video did help you in any way, shape, or form, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, share. And of course, if you need access to our Discord, you can find all that information on BitDoctor.org. And last but not least, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a good day, good night, and a good evening. Take care, everyone.